And I mean, I'm certain that this probably started earlier than that. I think 60s, 70s, 80s. I think that this is a very classic thing, an iconic thing for parents to take their children to the Grand Canyon.
Welcome.
Fresh out the box. Stop. Look and watch. Ready yet? Get set. It's
The Following Podcast.
Eat my short. Not the mama. Not the mama.
Goodbye.
And so,
Well, especially living where we lived,
Right.
it wasn't
wasn't that bad.
too bad a drive. It was like 10 or 12 hours. I can't
Growing up
remember,
in
but-
Southern California,
Right.
we went on a lot of trips with Dad.
Uh-huh.
Now, Dad was a hard worker.
Yeah, he was.
Dad would commute every day, an hour and a half every day, back and forth. And he worked at Albertsons Distribution Center. He was a general manager there. And he worked that commute so that we could live in a nice house in a nice place. But, I mean, Dad was generally gone, 13, 14, 15 hours a day.
Right.
So
On the days that he worked.
So
yeah.
when he would be home and he would come home and we would like party until he had to go to work again.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like when Dad had days off, we used them.
Right.
And
This is true.
we
All
would-
of these things I agree with.
we would
what
go-
what Luke's saying now.
we'd hit the beach,
all of that.
or we'd hit Disney, or we'd hit Big Bear.
Right.
But particularly
We only went to Big Bear when it was raining, though.
Right. Well, it was always raining Big Bear. Particularly, we would go. We would go on these trips, and this when we went to the Grand Canyon. This was when Grandpa was still living in Utah, and so we went as a through trip in Utah. But there were very specific things that Dad would do with us when we'd go on these trips. First of all, you get annoyed because this isn't like it is today, where everybody has a system or a DVD player,
Something
that's,
to keep them entertained.
Yeah, hold it from the ceiling. So there would be a lot of different situations. I think every dad has their own move, when it comes to getting onto the kids, right?
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
I'll come back there. But Dad, when he really wanted to get your attention, would reach back behind the seat and grab your knee.
Oh, yeah.
And it did not matter which kid he was going to go out to. In fact,
You didn't want to be in knee strike zone.
Sometimes Levi would purposely be sitting in the very back of the van, and he would agitate Dad, knowing he was going to reach back for a knee, and he would not get Levi because Levi's in the very back. He would get me or Ben, and we'd be like, like doing this thing, he'd be like, barking at us about whatever it was, and he got a hold of the wrong knee.
It was normally fighting or some sort of
discipline.
bickering
Right,
or
yeah.
whatever that was happening in the back seat.
Sure.
He was trying to get control,
Right.
And he did.
And he'd go. It was that type of punishment where everybody gets punished.
Everybody. So we'd feel pain for our brother, and he'd snicker, in the back seat because he knew that he was outside of striking distance. Oh,
And for some reason, we never got wise to,
Sure.
hey, maybe we should sit outside of striking distance.
it would have been a very smart move.
That's why he's the doctor.
So then, of course, we'd be driving down the road, and do you remember when we used to go to McDonald's with Dad?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Well, first of all, our father was a very hard worker.
He- We can tell the story at the beginning. Is that what it
I
started?
just needed a little bit of
Was it-
time. I just want to back up a little bit.
Let's back it up and tell it from your perspective. Now that we've heard it all from mine, let's get it from you.
And I was on the other side of the van.
Boy, yeah,
And I was really worried about that knee grabbing.
yeah.
Yeah, we would want to go to the old Mickey D's, and as a kid, McDonald's was the place that you wanted to go.
Right.
You got Ronald McDonald, you got Happy Meals. I mean, the word happy is in the name for a reason.
Right.
Very clever marketing, obviously, but
It was the second happiest place on earth.
it drove it if you got McDonald's and Disney in the same day,
You were double happy.
woo, now we're talking.
Right.
And there were four of us, me and Luke, Levi, and Becca, our younger sister, often forgotten.
Often. She's still there.
She's there.
And she's great.
She's wonderful. If you haven't gotten to interact with
You probably won't on this podcast
No.
because we forget about her a
Right.
lot. So
Forgotten. Maybe we.
I bet you she would do a whole segment on that.
She probably tell us things we don't remember
Yeah.
for sure. Anyway, yeah, so we'd pull up to the drive-thru, and Dad would probably already be pretty frustrated with whatever shenanigans we were trying to do, and
He'd grabbed a few knees by then.
right. So one of us would yell, "Dad, I want a cheeseburger.
I want chicken nuggets
I want it with a Coke."
and a Dr. Pepper.
And Dad'd say, "Hey, 4 Happy Meals, 4 hamburger Happy Meals, 4 Sprites." "Dad, I want cheese on my burger." 4 hamburger Happy Meals, 4 Sprites.
You can have cheese when you're an adult.
I don't know that he said no cheese. I mean, maybe somebody didn't want cheese, but it's like something you could pick off, you know?
Well, I'm telling you, it turned into picking off because you would give
So-
me your onions and I would give you my pickles.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
And you still do to this day, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it's
I do
true.
like
One
your
minute.
pick. I like extra pickles in my burger.
And I like giving them to you.
We both like onions now, though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
You know what? I found out though.
Uh-huh.
I asked Dad at one point. I said, "Dad, why was it? Why? Okay, I could understand like the simplicity of you know
Right.
4 cheeseburger Happy Meals or whatever.
But why the Sprites?
Why the Sprites? Like why couldn't everybody get there?" And he said it's because we were always driving a leased vehicle. Oh. And he didn't want dark liquids to be spilled. Which, if you have kids,
They will be spilled.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, we wouldn't. It was a cloth interior or whatever.
Yeah, you didn't really
and-
didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Although, if anything sticky gets spilled, doesn't it just pick up whatever dirt is around it anyway?
Well, listen, I'm not saying it was the best
Right.
reason in the world.
But it
I
makes,
mean,
but it made sense.
it makes sense to me.
And
That's
hey,
why we didn't get ketchup too.
but we got
got to
Sprite
eat our fries dry.
Yeah, we got Sprite instead of water. But McDonald's fries don't need ketchup anyway. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Ourselves.
that's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. We didn't get water, so it was still a treat. I mean, it was a treat.
It
you
was
know?
a treat.
Yeah, and I'm sure that it wasn't.
And we got to see the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, which ended up being just a really big rock,
Really big hole
according
in the ground.
to
That was Levi's review.
Levi's review.
Just,
Wait, what happened?
just
Wow,
a big hole.
It's a big rock.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive.
It was
vast.
If
Peered
you
off
haven't-
into
if
it.
you haven't seen the Grand Canyon, like really seen it, it's worth going to. In fact, I do plan to take. I want to take my whole crew.
You remember when we found that little ledge that just kind of dropped off?
Yeah.
And it dropped off to a much smaller, or it was like it maybe 4 feet or
Is that
whatever.
what Dad videoed us
Yes.
all jumping into? The
Yeah,
Grand
we wanted.
Canyon?
We said, "Hey, Dad, get a video of us falling into the Grand Canyon because you can see this massive canyon behind, you know." And so we'd each take turns.
Acting
Oh,
it out.
I don't know what's. Oh no no! Oh! And then we'd fall, and then you had to duck
Yeah.
all the way down in order to
And then
because.
you'd continue to scream.
But in the video,
always
the,
be like a jolt in the middle of it.
the angle was always a little bit off,
Right.
Because you could still see us ducking. So
Dad didn't quite have the videography
not, it wasn't.
technique
Yeah,
there.
cinema mastery wasn't quite in effect, and you could see the rail.
The railing that was behind it. So listen,
Yeah.
the important thing is we had
We
fun.
thought it was cool.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I think that traveling was always interesting.
Well, there was always some sort of adventure to look back on.
do you remember-
a lot of car time?
Do you remember how Mom used to have that cooler and it would lay between the door and the actual seats where the bucket
Yeah,
seats started?
yeah.
And I have distinct memory of Mom pulling out when we were driving on those drives. She'd pull out a cutting board
And make
she'd
sandwiches.
Put it on her lap and she'd make sandwiches and pass them back.
Yeah, in the front seat.
What?
Yeah, she'd sit there and make sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
That's
was
impressive.
One of the ways that we got things. And she was the navigator too.
Yes. Because back then you didn't have
Right.
a map. You had a map,
You didn't have
a phone.
Google Maps or Apple Maps.
Right.
It was an actual fold out map.
Yeah. You talk about the fights that I would get in. Could you imagine?
Oh, I don't.
Could you imagine Shonda being your navigator on a
No,
on a road
no,
trip?
and the reason is because she would kill me.
Right.
It's
that's
like
what I'm
it's
saying.
got nothing to do
It
with.
wouldn't- the amount of wrong turns that we
Oh
would
my
take.
gosh, I can't even get it right sometimes when I've got the stupid Siri telling me where
Oh
to
yeah,
turn.
it's hard to tell sometimes
Yeah.
on like your Apple Map or Google Map.
If you don't have notifications like the voice prompts turned on,
Those are yeah.
done.
I've got it on my phone to where it buzzes to tell me when I'm supposed to get off, and I
you
still
mean
miss
on your
it.
watch?
Yeah,
You hold up the watch and you said on my phone.
on my phone, my watch phone.
Yeah. So it vibrates and you still miss the turn.
I still miss the turn.
Yeah, it's good old ADHD.
Yeah. I was too distracted by the other thing that was on the road. The car.
Right.
The other car.
Do you remember Slugbug?
Yes.
That
That was another great road trip thing.
Many a bruised arms.
Many a bruised arms. I never was very good at slug
You don't
bugs.
see a lot of bugs anymore. I had to teach my boys. I started this this new one, which Shonda hates now because for some reason she's always the target.
Your boys are hitting Shonda?
Yes. Well, they hit each other and then they cry.
Oh.
They hit me
you
and
hit
they
them
know
back?
I'm in on the game
Right.
at that point. So they hit mom and then the game's over.
Right.
Wait, what is this game? Help.
We
help
call
me.
it Prime Punch.
Prime punch.
Yeah, you see a Prime truck, Amazon Prime,
Okay.
on the highway.
Okay.
You get to punch somebody as long as you call it first. It was like Slug Bug or Punch Buggy,
Yeah.
depending on where you were.
Right.
Slug Bug, or you'd say the color, Slug Bug Green or whatever. Well, now, because there aren't a lot of bugs,
Right.
and, we had to make that drive recently down to Alabama, and that's one of the things I told the boys, hey, let's look for Prime trucks. We'll call it Prime Punch.
And so now they prime punch each other.
Now they Prime Punch each other. Yeah.
That
Which I'm
sounds-
sure Amazon would be very happy with the violence
Hey,
inflicted
Amazon,
on siblings because of this.
we got a marketing idea for
Here
you.
comes the pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prime punch.
Prime Punch.
I like it. I actually think I'll start using that.
Okay. It's a really good way to get your kids mad at each other, your wife upset, and to pretty much ruin the car trip for a good few hours because
So what you're saying is you're glad that you came up with this.
it definitely passes some time. So if you ever want some quiet in the car, start a game of Prime Punch, and no one will talk to you for a good hour after it's all over.
Oh.
Yeah.
We always play to get quiet is 1, 2, 3 hush puppies, which I don't know who came up with hush puppies being the thing that you say. But it seems to work.
Yeah.
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 I
Don't know where I was going with that. but
know
it's
this
just-
I heard hush 1, 2, 3 hush puppies growing up too.
Well, then obviously it wasn't very 90s.
Oh, right.
Well, Ashley she's born in what, 94?
96.
She didn't have any 90s. I mean, she was 4 when everything changed.
Correct.
So you are a millennial.
I guess so.
You are. Definitely.
You're deep seated in it.
Yep. It's you. It's who you are.
It's okay. Break that mold, Ashley.
It's all right.
Thanks.
Just kidding. We love millennials.
Millennials.
Bad rap.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we drove. I mean, we drove a lot as kids though. We went to see Grandpa in Utah.
Right.
We'd stopped in Vegas a couple of times doing that. We made
That
a
was
trip.
back when Vegas was family friendly.
We made a trip to San
Like that 2
Francisco
months.
when we were kids.
Yeah.
That's a good 8-hour drive. We obviously drove to Oklahoma, drove to New York. Most of our trips, being 6 people in a family, were done in a car. So
Yeah.
air travel wasn't really something that happened a whole lot for us.
Yeah.
A few times when we were little, probably, but that's
Yeah.
about it.
I still have my pins from then. My little wings.
You still have them?
Yeah, in a box. I don't know if they're from the first time.
I was gonna say that's pretty impressive.
Sometimes I get them out and wear them. Just to pretend I'm a pilot.
Can you tell me why?
Well, I mean, sometimes it's fun to pretend you're something other than what you are.
Right, when you're young.
It's called make believe. I learned it on Eureka's Castle.
It's that Nick Jr. show.
Eureka.
Eureka's Castle. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Magellan with the tail. Magellan and tail. You remember
Yeah.
Tail?
Tail was a different character than
Tail
Magellan.
was always getting Magellan into trouble. That scamp.
It's just, the funny thing is when we had to watch that show because of Becca. She was quite a bit younger That was during breaks. In California, it wasn't like summer break like it is here.
Yeah.
It was tracked oriented. So their schools were year round, and there was A, B, C, and D track, right? So whatever track you plugged into determined the month of the years that you got. You got 2 months out a year, and it rotated.
Oh.
So I remember we were like always upset.
There were 4 tracks: A track, B track, C track, D track.
Pretty sure Ben just said that.
Did you take a break?
I was in the clouds.
Did you?
4 tracks
Did you just?
for 3 months apiece.
Is there an echo in here?
Did you say 2 months? Because it was 3 months.
We got 3 months off.
No, you got 1 month off. There were 2 months on, 1 month
Okay,
off.
that's what I was saying.
4 tracks. Were we on D track?
Excuse Luke while he takes a quick break, and then rejoins us.
Luke's going to be right back.
And he's back.
And,
Okay.
How many tracks were there?
4.
A
4.
track, B track, D track, C track.
Sure, but not in that order. Anyway, so what happened was
I hated those C track kids.
it was like gangs.
It was. I don't know. I don't know how they devised the tracks. Like, how did you end up on one track?
It had to be district oriented, right?
I do very much remember not liking certain tracks.
Well, hold on. This is the thing. So when they did this,
'Kay.
you were off during different times of the year.
Right.
Well, Stick Stigley
Stick Stigley. Yes.
on Nickelodeon or
Nick Jr.
No.
No,
Stick
Nickelodeon.
Stigley was Nickelodeon,
That's
but
right.
but it was only during the summer months when all the rest of the kids in the country were out.
Right.
The
we had
rest of
1
the
month-
months,
we had 1 month. Of
the
Stick
rest of the
Stigley.
months, you had Nick Jr. on all day. So we were stuck with shows like Eureka's Castle,
Eureka's.
and Muppet Babies.
Yeah.
and,
I loved that show.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Muppet Babies. Yeah,
When your room looks kind of weird,
and you wish that you weren't there.
just close your eyes and make believe.
You can be elsewhere.
Anywhere. What are you what are you
Elsewhere.
talking?
Wasn't it
no.
Elsewhere?
And you can be anywhere. Elsewhere?
Yeah, like somewhere else.
I don't think that's it. Anywhere. Muppet Babies.
Start typing, Ashley. Lyrics to Muppet Babies cartoon. Anyway, so we didn't get the summer unless you just happened to be off for one of those months.
Right.
You didn't get the summer show, so you were stuck. Your parents went to work or whatever, and you were home, nothing to do. You're watching Nick Jr. for the day.
Right. And
I was wrong. I hate that.
I love it.
Just close your eyes and make believe, and you can be anywhere. But elsewhere works too, though. Somewhere else works.
Yes, but elsewhere is like kind of a anywhere fits. It's a kind of elsewhere is kind of a short word for that spot.
Somewhere other than where you are.
I understand.
I think it fits in the song better. It makes more sense. Anywhere is too many syllables.
No, it's
And you
Listen,
can be
listen,
anywhere.
don't
That's
go
a lot.
back and
or
try
you
to-
can be elsewhere.
Don't
Come
go-
on. Which
Ben.
one fits better?
Ben. Don't go back and try to correct something just because you don't like the fact that you were wrong.
I feel like me.
You're trying to rewrite the song.
Yeah, me and the writer
You're
of
trying
the
to
song need to
rewrite
sit down and fix this.
a song from the 90s.
I will literally go back through every episode and re-record Miss Piggy's voice to make it more succinct.
I'm going to tell you here, unfortunately, you're wrong. Elsewhere does not sound as good, nor does it make as much sense as anywhere does. But I think that what you were getting onto or what you were jumping into about the track system is some very important information. Because it was, I mean, you essentially ran with your track.
Right.
And now the real question was, were the teachers off? They were off as well, right?
No.
The teachers kept working.
Yeah.
The teachers worked year round.
Yeah.
But wait, how would that make sense though? Because if we had Mrs. Villarreal,
Okay. So, I think the teachers worked year round in middle school and high school.
okay,
You
well
remember
that would, it would make sense.
it would
in
have been
middle school and high
7th,
school.
8th, 7th through senior year.
Right? And I actually don't.
But you're right. I think that track. I don't think that because the elementary school teachers would have had to have off too.
I don't think that the track system is in place anymore. I don't know if it is or isn't. I can't. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I don't think that they do it anymore.
I don't know why they would. Maybe Maybe it was just because of the lack of room that they had at the schools. I don't know. Like they
But-
needed less kids to be there.
But then you would think there'd have to be one group of kids that rotated, and that wasn't really the case. You know, like they had enough classrooms for them. The classrooms were just closed, and maybe it was how much power they were using, or just the fact that they could do school year round. It wasn't like it, was in other places. They're not.
I don't know why it was devised. Maybe some research needs to be done on the track school system.
And we could talk about how much we hated C-Track. Like those kids were punks.
Yeah, those C-Track kids.
And
Remember when it was like when you in 7th grade? It was like, yeah, I've got a new girlfriend, right?
Yeah,
And she wasn't part of
your track.
your track.
Right. She was on the wrong side of the tracks.
It would be tough though because you'd have 2 months apart at that point. I mean, how are you supposed to maintain a 7th grade relationship?
Yeah.
Wow.
When if I'm on D track and she's on A track, that's 2 months of not being with your sweetheart.
That's a lot of on the phone time.
Yeah, and
Unfortunately, the average relationship then lasted about 2 days.
well, and it worked out really well when you wanted to make up a girlfriend.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that she could be that
She's
mysterious
on
one.
She's on A track.
And then by the
That's why
time
you
A
never
track
met
comes
her.
back,
You're like,
We broke
we
up.
broke it off. Didn't work out.
we broke up. So, 90s phrase of the week.
90s phrase of the week.
Yes, what is it?
Be kind, rewind.
Okay, so that's going to be a tough one for people to incorporate.
No, I don't think so. I think there are plenty of situations where you can say be kind, rewind. Like, you just said something really ugly and derogatory. First of all, wait, we do need to, well,
I think the be kind rewind is self-explanatory. I mean, is it?
No.
Ashley, do you know what be kind rewind means?
Just like to be nice to
No.
people.
Okay, I guess it does need some explanation.
So, okay. Be Kind Rewind was something that it was an ad campaign by Blockbuster Video.
Okay.
And they would put it on the back, a sticker on the back of their cassette tapes. And it would say across it, Be Kind, Rewind, which was a reminder to anybody out there after they finished the tape to rewind it before returning it to the video store.
Yeah, that was the jerk thing to do back in the. It's kind of like not returning your shopping cart now.
Yeah,
You
that was really frustrating when we would rent VHS tapes from the
Right,
library.
Right. And
Yeah.
it wasn't rewound
And then
already.
the first thing that you have to do is rewind the whole thing.
So "Be Kind, Rewind" was a normal saying and a catchphrase for video connoisseurs.
They put a sticker on it and said "Be kind, rewind." So that's why I was saying. I was literally saying I don't think that that's something that you could incorporate in your sentence. And then Ashley took it
As what
and
you
turned it into something.
So what you do is your child says something ugly to you,
Right.
or to one of the brothers, and you go, "Hey now, be kind, rewind," and then they have to rewind what they said,
Do they have to make
And-
the sound,
and
Yeah,
then
it's
they
like a
re-say it.
or do they
rewind. Yeah, it's like gets higher it's like, because it gets faster. It's like, and there's a click.
Yeah,
That's pretty good, Ashley.
Wow.
It's like you listen to VHS.
it's like,
rewind.
it's like you listen to that happen every day from your office.
I also have spent a lot of time putting some VHS tapes in and out.
Yeah, that was back before they developed the rewinder.
Yeah.
But, those rewinders went constantly at Blockbuster
Yep.
or our favorite video rental spot, Front Row Video.
Front row video.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did y'all ever rent movies that it came in 2 VHS tapes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was, you were planning on sitting down.
Yeah.
for,
Oh,
You
yeah.
had some
oh,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
That was a 2-cassetter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Titanic ended up being a two cassetter too.
Oh, yeah. Anne of Green Gables was a 2-cassetter.
There are probably still people out there that watch tapes on cassette.
On VHS.
Yeah. One of the things we do here is we transfer tapes for people. I could tell you how many people have come in with cassette tapes that were
Copyrighted.
and want to have them transferred. And I keep on telling them, bro, I'm going to transfer this for you. It's going to cost you $25. And it would have been cheaper for you to just buy it online. Like,
Right.
just buy
Get
the
the digital
movie,
version.
Get a digital version
Yeah.
of it. And they're like, I
Yeah.
already bought this one.
Yeah.
But we don't transfer that.
We
so
can't.
we
That's
do
not
it.
legal.
Anyway.
Cool.
So be kind to each other out there. Be kind to rewind.
And if you have to rewind, go ahead and do it.
as my
Oh,
shirt says.
perfect.
It's on Luke's shirt.
On my shirt. Be kind, rewind.
All right. Queuing in and out.
Queuing out.
QN.
The Viewing Podcast.
Eat my short. Not the mama, not the mama.
Goodbye.